Everybody, it's your girl Miss Ish coming at you again for the last time in 2017, showing you all how I prepared the best Southern style gumbo. There are several ingredients you will need: gumbo filet, shrimp, already deveined or cooked, it's up to you, crab legs, chicken, sausage of your preference, and also rice, flour, cooking oil, a gumbo pot or any size big pot you have. I've already went ahead and got started with my meal. I took the chicken tenderloins, I sauteed them in one pot. I cut them all down into little bitty diced pieces of chicken. I also took my horseshoe sausage, cut them up into fine small chunks with the garlic, bell pepper, and onion, and fried everything separate in a different pot. And now I'm going to be adding everything together. So now let's go ahead and show you guys how I prepare the roux. Alright, so like I stated, I've already took my tenderloin pieces and I chopped them up into fine pieces. Not too big and not too small, just, just to make sure everybody has enough in their gumbo. I also went ahead with my sausage, bell pepper, and onion and garlic and fried them up. Now, this is the most important part of the gumbo, which is the roux. What I've done is take one big pot. I placed 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil inside the pot with a half a cup of flour. What I've done is let that flour cook down as if you're making homemade gravy. So once the gravy gets about my complexion, I usually do an arm test. I'll put my arm up toward the pot just to see if that gravy is actually close to my skin complexion. And if you can tell, it's kind of getting there. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cook a little more. I'm going to go ahead and add my seasoning, which will be the Malibu seasoning, the garlic salt, and then the gumbo filet. Now that my gravy that I'm making for the roux is the complexion that I want it to be, or the color that I want it to be, I'm going to actually go ahead and add. Now this is the gumbo filet that I use. It's from Zatarain. And I just add this to the flour that I've already put in the pot. And what I'm going to do is just gently pour some in there. I'm not going to pour it all, just some of it. And that's what gives you that color. The next thing I'm going to do, since I've already added my garlic salt and my Malibu seasoning, so I'm going to go ahead and just stir that in there a little bit. Now, if you can tell that there's kind of a paste now. It's more like a paste. And the next thing I'm going to do is get 1 bottle of water, pour the whole bottle inside. And the secret that I do for my gumbo would be soy sauce. Now, I know you're saying, oh, you don't supposed to put soy sauce in no Southern style gumbo, but you can put soy sauce in anything and enhance the flavor. So all I'm going to do is add a couple little drops of the soy sauce. Now, I add soy sauce to my gravy because it makes it taste better. Now, I'm going to take the bottle of water. I'm going to place this whole bottle of water inside the pot. And then we're going to let this roux start thickening up. We'll be back once the roux is thick. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes since I started the roux. If you can notice, this roux is actually getting thick. You don't want it to be watery, okay? You want it to be thick, just like gravy. Whether it's 30 weight, 40 weight, it really don't matter. You just want this to be thick, okay? You don't want it to be watery. And that's pretty thick. I'm going to add a little bit more water, just because this is going to be a nice big pot of gumbo. And I'm only making it for 2. But since it's for our New Year's meal, I'll make sure that there's enough at least until Tuesday afternoon. Alright, so I'm going to add a little more water. We're going to go ahead and add our already cooked chicken that has been chopped up in the small chunks, our already cooked sausage that has already been chopped up with the bell pepper, onion, and garlic. We're going to pour all this back into our gumbo filet. Now this is also the way that I make my neck bones. I will sear them first on each side to get them brown. I'll take them out the skillet, put my gravy inside, well actually my grease and my flour, make the gravy, and then put the neck bones back so they'll actually be more tenderized and have all that good flavor. So that's just the same thing we're going to do with the gumbo. We're going to take our already cooked sausage and our chicken. We're going to pour this inside the pot of gumbo filet. And if you guys remember, when I did cook that double stuffed lobster tail, I had a little bit of that claw meat left. I'm going to actually add that with about 1.5 pounds of the king crab legs. And that will be my main ingredients, just the sausage, chicken, shrimp, crab legs, and the claw meat. I'll be back once we get everything into the pot. Okay, so now that my roux is the way I like it, I'm going to go ahead now with the chicken, sausage, bell pepper, onion, and garlic. I'm going to just pour everything into this one pot. Now with gumbo, you don't have to keep touching it and, messing with it. Just let it do its thing. This is not a 30-minute meal, so if you was looking for something that's going to be fast, that won't be it. So yeah, we're going to just let this simmer now. The next thing I'm going to do is add the claw meat that I had left over. Now, I know it's up to you what you want to put in your gumbo. Some people like mussels, fish. I'm just basic. My people are from Louisiana, but I'm on the West Coast, so I do it a little different. Just the chicken, sausage, crab, and shrimp. Basic 5 ingredients that I use for mine. Now, we're going to go ahead and put the claw meat and the shrimp, and we'll be back in about 30 minutes once this simmered down a little more, and we'll add the crab claws. So now that it's been about 15 minutes that I've actually been letting this gumbo sit and get thick, I'm going to go ahead now with some of that claw meat that you guys remember I used in the double stuffed lobster tails. They were claw meat that were already in a can, and it was so much for the double stuffed lobster tails, I just froze the rest. So now we're going to just take a handful of that already chopped up claw meat. We're going to place that inside that gumbo. I'm going to add just a little bit more. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead now and get these shrimps cleaned, deveined, and I have a little OCD, so sometimes I like to fry them first before I actually add them in the gumbo. Kind of do like a twist like Auntie Fee would do. Rest her soul. Or I'm going to go ahead and just throw them inside the pot. When you do that, they shrink fast. So I'm going to show you what they look like once I go ahead and steam them for about 2 seconds. Really blanch them. Okay, we'll be right back. So this is what the shrimp would look like once I've already cleaned and deveined them and went ahead and took all that shell off except for the tail. I didn't steam them that long because I didn't want to lose, I didn't want to lose the shrimp. I mean, they shrivel up so much like popcorn after you have them in the water for a while, but this is what they do look like. I'm going to add these last with the crab legs. So right now, we just have our gumbo boiling, and we're going to look at the roux. And we just want this to thicken up a little bit more. Now, I've already added my meat, my main 2 meats in there, which was the sausage and the chicken. And I'm going to let that just simmer for about another 20-30 minutes. And then I'll go ahead and add, well, I actually added the crab claw meat. We call it surf and turf. And I'm going to go ahead and add the legs in about 20-30 minutes. And then we'll get the rice started next. Okay, so now that I have one medium-sized pot and I have my onion, bell pepper, and garlic cut up with 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil, I'm going to go ahead now and add my rice. Now, in my last video, I let you guys know I do my rice a little different. Instead of boiling my rice first, I like to fry it first. That gives me more seasoning. And then I'll boil it once it has some color to it, okay? So we're going to go ahead now and add a little bit of seasoning. On top of the rice, we're going to add our, let's see, I think I'm going to use just the Malibu seasoning with this rice. All right. So I'm going to go ahead now and just start turning this. You can't leave it because I don't want it to just burn up on me, so. But once you see that it's starting to get some color to it, that's when I'll go ahead and add my water to it. Now the rice is, you know, just the last thing that goes with the gumbo. Some people like it without the rice, just the roux and the meat is fine. But when you put the rice with it, that's just the traditional way, and it makes it more hearty and more filling, so you don't be hungry after a while. All right, so we're going to let this sit for a little bit, probably for about just 30 seconds or so. Get a little more color, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my water. But while we're doing that, let's go ahead now and check our gumbo. See what it's looking like over here. Right, so it is definitely simmering up. Let's see here. And once again, right now, the only thing I have in here is the chicken, sausage, and vegetables, which were the onions and bell pepper and garlic. I used the gumbo filet and half a cup of flour inside of this pot with 3 teaspoons, I think it was 3 teaspoons or tablespoons. It's really up to you on the oil that you use, but I used 3 tablespoons of oil to make the roux. Now, the way I make my roux is the way I make my gravy. So if you want to start off by making the roux the way you would make your homemade gravy, that's fine. Okay, so let's go back to our rice. And I'm using a white rice, but I do prefer brown rice. I didn't have any more, so we're going to make do with what we got because it's New Year's Eve and I don't plan on going out there tonight. I got everything I need to drink and I'm going to enjoy this night. But I just wanted to show you guys one more recipe before the end of the year on how I prepare the gumbo. So now we're going to go ahead and get ready to add some water. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add this water. And then now I'm just going to turn it down a little bit, turn this fire down on low, cover it up, let this simmer. Since this was like minute rice or whatever, it's not going to take long. I didn't really feel like sitting in here doing no Uncle Ben or no, you know, rice that was going to take 30, 40 minutes to clean. And yeah, we're going to work smarter, not harder, okay? Because we do got plans for tonight. All right, so now that we have the rice simmering, we have this gumbo over here simmering, I'm going to go ahead and add the crab legs. All right, everybody, it's time to go ahead and finish checking, and I believe that the rice is done. Let's check our gumbo. Yeah, the crab legs don't need that long, and the shrimp I've already put inside. So now we can go ahead and let this simmer for about 5 more minutes. We'll go ahead and get this plated up and ready to serve. All right, now for the final product. The gumbo is complete. The rice is done and tender. I went ahead and made 1 small plate because I've been waiting all day for this. And if you notice, I got some shrimp inside, but